Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's live lab. Today we are going to focus on how to use a coding manual when you go to sit for your certification exam. We are going to tie that in with how it works with Encoder and how you do your assignments and tests and things like that. So I'm hoping to kind of bring it all together for you guys and make it make sense a little bit more as to how the book looks as opposed to how it looks online in a digital copy or using Encoder or something like that, and kind of give you guys some hints and tips and tricks to kind of help you out and make things a little bit smoother and easier to understand when you're looking for codes, basically, for CPT, for current procedural terminology. So I'm going to share my screen right quick, and I don't have like a big long presentation or anything like that today. But I do have a couple of things that I want to show you guys. Alright, can you guys see the CPT coding screen? Perfect, thank you. Alright, so for CPT coding, when you go to sit for your exam, all of you now should be using either Encoder or a digital version of the CPT manual. And I know I've still got one or two students that are about to graduate out that may have had a physical copy, because we used to guys. Everything has gone digital over the last little bit. So this is what the CPT manual looks like when you have it in front of you. This is it. It is massive. Okay, this book is like 5 to 7 pounds of just thickness and information. Okay, so when you have a physical manual, the first thing we tell y'all to do, y'all see it in the picture here, is to tab the sections, the different sections and chapters that break up this book. Okay, so a little bit about how the CPT manual is set up. And this is also, guys, going to apply to ICD-10 coding in your ICD-10 manual. It looks just the same, and you find the codes the same way in both books. The only difference between the books is that in the CPT manual, your alphabetic index is in the very back, and in your ICD-10 manual, it's in the very front. So when you're doing ICD-10, and for my new students, ICD-10 is the International Classification of Diseases. When we're doing ICD-10 coding, we're looking for what is wrong with the patient, the illness, the injury, the disease name, whatever. We're looking for illnesses having to do with the patient. But when we're doing CPT coding, current procedural terminology coding, we're looking for procedures. We're looking for what is done to the patient or for the patient. Okay, do y'all see the difference there? With ICD-10, you're looking for illnesses and injuries. You're looking for diagnoses. All right, when you're doing CPT, you're looking for procedures, surgeries, office visits, scans, different things like that. What is done to the patient or for the patient, not what is wrong with the patient. Okay, does that make sense to y'all, the difference between the two? All right, but they work the exact same way. The coding steps for both manuals and also with digital and online is the same. The process is exactly the same. So the first thing you're going to do is identify key terms. That's the first step in the process, right? We give you some type of scenario, some type of excerpt from a medical file or the book or something, and you have to identify in that scenario what it is that you need to code. You have to pick out the stuff that is important to what you're coding, okay? So for CPT, you're going to be looking for procedures like endoscopy or some type of scan, CT scan, some type of test, something like that. That's what you're going to be looking for. All right. Once you've picked out those key terms, you're going to locate those key terms in the alphabetic index. Now, in the physical manual, like I said, the alphabetic index in this manual is the very back. Okay. I don't know how well y'all be able to see it, but there's a large gray section in the back of this manual. That's your alphabetic index. Okay. You're going to find those key terms in that index. Once you find them there, you are going to, in the alphabetic index, they're listed, and then they have an indentation. Everything in these coding manuals, you'll hear me talk about it, indents down. It gets, and every indentation gets more specific to what you're coding and what you're talking about. Like, say you have a code that is an eye surgery, an eye procedure. You're going to have a main code, and then it's going to indent down, and it'll give you two other codes, and one's for the left eye and one's for the right eye. See how that works? You'll have a main one, and then it'll break it down more specifically as to which, maybe which finger, which toe, which limb, whatever. It'll break it on down. So you have to be as specific as possible, okay? So you're going to have that main term, and then it goes underneath. You search through there, reviewing the subterms under the main term in the index. And then you're going to follow any cross-reference directions such as see also. There's certain things that you'll look at, like say you're looking for a certain disease that has to do with the heart, and it'll say under heart, it'll also say see cardiovascular disease or see something else. You always want to check those. When it tells you that, you always want to flip to that page and see what they're talking about there. It may lead you in a different direction, something more specific than where you're at. Now, just a trick. When you're looking in the alphabetic index, and it leads you somewhere that you didn't mean to go. It leads you to a code and you're certain that code is not correct to what you're looking for. That's okay. All right? I always say that there are multiple ways. You've heard the saying, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. It's the same with coding. There are multiple. You can get to the correct code from starting from any different keyword, okay? Can get you to the same point a lot of the times. So don't get discouraged if you start at the wrong term sometimes. And I'll tell y'all something else. Medical terminology is a weak point for me. I did not go to medical school. I do not know a lot of the big, crazy medical terms and stuff like that. So usually when I'm looking for keywords, I start with the words that I don't know what they are. Usually that's a good place to start. Start with what you don't know. And if you don't know what it is, Google it. You know, use all the resources to your advantage. If you read something in a medical record and you're like, I don't really know what he's talking about, I don't know what that is, Google it, see what it is, you know. Be willing to learn as you go along. And things will stick with you as you learn things. As you read, things will stick with you. Next time you'll remember it. It's neat how that works. But so you're going to follow your cross-reference directions, and then you're going to verify that code selected in the index in the tabular sections, which is all these other sections other than the gray, all your chapters, as they call them, okay, that break down to the different parts of the bodies and different things. We always verify. We never, ever, ever stop at the alphabetic index. So y'all repeat after me, if you will. Always verify. Never stop at the
alphabetical index.
Exactly. Always verify, never stop at the alphabetical index. And there's a reason why. Because sometimes it's not going to lead you to one specific code. It'll lead you to a range of codes. It'll lead you to like 90006 to 90027. You know, and you got to find where in the middle is the right code. And that's just one reason why. Some other reasons why are because they put information in that index that tells you how to use these codes correctly, okay? So you always want to go to inside the chapters and verify that you're working with the correct code. All right, and then you're going to assign the codes to the highest level of specificity. So like I was just saying, if it indents down, it breaks down into more specific codes, you want to go as far down, as deep as you can with it. Be as specific as possible. A lot of times, if you're not specific as possible, the claims will be rejected by the insurance company and they'll come back. But also a lot of times, guys, if you need to be more specific and you can't, if you need to be more specific and you're not, hold on one second for me, guys. Sorry, guys. She was playing with a toy in the room next door, and it totally threw me off. Okay. So, if you need to be more specific and you're not, will reject the claim. It'll come back to you and they'll ask you, be more specific. But a lot of the times the directions are right there in the manual too. If you need to be more specific, it'll tell you, hey, you can't use this code. There will be a symbol, a sign, or something that says, hey, look further, don't use this one. The book gives you, and same thing in the digital copy, guys, all the information is there. It's just on the screen instead of on the page, okay? So instead of getting to flip through the book and flip the pages and put your hands on it, you're scrolling and scrolling and clicking on words and stuff like that. Which I will be honest with y'all, if I've got to do cold coding like this, I prefer this manual. I really do. I'm kind of old school like that. And it's a lot easier when you have the book in front of you to say you started with the wrong term in the alphabetic index. Okay, you're holding that spot in the alphabetic index while you look in the other part to see if you got it. Okay, I didn't. Let me go back and flip back and forth. It's harder to do in a digital copy because, okay, here I am on page whatever. I can't hold my place. I got to just scroll till I get back to whatever. You know, so it's a little bit more difficult with the digital copy. If you guys want to purchase copies of these manuals so you have them, you're more than welcome to do that. They're widely available on Amazon and different places. You do not by any means have to. I did not touch one of these manuals until I started teaching this class. You know, that might not be true. I think I looked in one when I had no idea what it was years and years ago. I grabbed one off of a coding desk and was trying to help my coder figure something out, and she's like, look on this page and check this for me. I was reading Greek. I was like, what do you even have me looking at? Like what are you even doing here? Because I was just doing billing at that time. I had never messed with coding.
Miss Brandy, not to cut you off, is that the big yellow book?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Big yellow one. Big yellow one. And I think the ICD-10 is a big purple one. And I think it's even thicker than the CPT by a little bit. And then the third one is HCPCS. And HCPCS, we don't cover a lot. There's next to no questions on your certification exam about it, and you'll hardly ever use it unless you code specifically Medicare. Unless you specifically code Medicare, you're not going to have to worry about HCPCS. But I will tell y'all this little snippet too. Coding Medicare, money, honey, money. That is a specialty. It is a very widely sought after specialty, and it can make you some money. You can get paid higher for being a Medicare specialist because it is huge. It's the biggest insurance entity in the United States. They generate the highest dollar amount of insurance claims because we have so many elderly people, and there are more and more and more people signing up for Medicare every single day. Our population is aging, and you know, Medicare is huge. So if you can specialize in that, you get good at it, that's worth, you will be an asset to your company and worth some money. You can demand a premium for your services. Let's see. All right, so we've gone over the basic process. So we're going to identify our key terms. We look those up in the alphabetic index. We follow any and all directions. We verify in the tabular, and we be as specific as possible. That's the basics of it right there, guys. That's the basics to coding, whether you're doing it paper or digital. All right, so what I did here was I took some examples, some basic scenarios, and I looked them up in the paper copy of the CPT manual, and I wrote down, just so y'all could kind of get an idea, like for acne treatment, chemical peel of the face, and my little bubble is face epidermis. In the alphabetic index, I found that on page 1064. Remember, it's at the back of the book. But when I went to the tabular, it was way in the front on page 118, or something to that effect. So what y'all can do, and I've got the answers on the next slide of what those codes are, what those CPT codes are. What we're going to do, I'm going to try to split my screen and bring up Encoder so we can see how it looks on there. Y'all kind of get how it would lay out on the paper copy. You would look in the alphabetic index, find it on said page, and then go to, wherever it led you, and you'd end up on the second page. So we're going to see how that looks on digital. Just a moment. Alright, so if you guys have not gotten your encoder stuff set up yet, get with me so we can do that. Alright, stop share right quick. Alright, so our first one is acne treatment. I'm going to have it on the side, but I want you guys to see what I'm doing in encoder too. So I'm going to switch the screens right quick. Try. Alright, are you guys seeing encoder? Yep.
Yes.
Awesome sauce. Okay, so the first one was acne treatment, chemical peel of the face epidermis. Alright, so you see down here it says code books, and you have current procedural coding is the top one. HCPCS, what we were talking about for Medicare, is right under it. And then under that you have ICD-9 and ICD-10. Alright, so ICD-10 is the one we are in right now. That's the one we're using in class. ICD-9 is the old version. Sometime in the next 2 years probably, we'll be switching to ICD-11. Okay, it changes. As medicine advances, the codes change. That's why we do not memorize codes. A lot of people come into this program and they think, I'm never going to memorize all this. Don't try. That's a waste of your time and brain power. We do not memorize codes because they could change from year to year. We never know. Okay? Once you start working in a particular field, in a particular office, there will be codes that you use all the time, and you'll memorize those like that, and you'll be able to just spit them off. And you'll recognize stuff like that once you start seeing it all the time. But for right now, we're in ICD-10. All right, and they have it broken down. Index of diseases and injuries, neoplasm table, which is the cancer table. If they say neoplasm and neoplasm is a tumor, think cancer, and you're going to go to the neoplasm table. Okay. Table of drugs and chemicals. If you have an overdose, a poisoning, they mention in the scenario acetaminophen or any kind of drug or chemical, you're going to look at that table of drugs and chemicals. Index of external causes. All right. There are some really funny things in the index of external causes because people injure themselves in a variety of ways. There's even and there's a code for almost every way that you can injure yourself. There's a code for being run over by a horse-drawn carriage. And there's a code to indicate whether you were the driver of said horse-drawn carriage, back up. Or if you were the passenger, or if you were the victim and you were the one got run over. Watercraft, airplanes, just anything, water jet skis, anything you could come up with in a way to injure yourself, there's probably a code for it in that index, and there's some really amusing ones. And the index of procedures. And that, I think, is probably going to be where the bulk of the chapters that break down the different body systems are going to be, is in the index of procedures. So you can click on any one of those to go to where you want to go. So we're going to acne treatment, chemical peel. So let's see, I'm thinking we should go to the index of procedures for that. Or we can go up here and click CPT. Oh, we're not doing ICD-10. Sorry guys, we're doing CPT. So we would just click the top one, current procedural coding, to go to that book. Or we can use the search up here, click CPT, enter term or code. All right, so I don't know the code, of course, so we're going to enter the term. I'm going to do acne treatment. Let's just start with there, because that seems to be the main deal, right? The main thing we're looking for. chemical peel. So let's see what we get when we search that. Search results for acne treatment. All right, so it gives us 3 different code ranges. All right, it says treatment for active acne and permanent hair removal, plastic, reconstructive, and aesthetic surgery, or tattoos, tissue expanders, and dermal fillers. So I guess that'd be like Botox or something like that. All right, so I'm thinking, what do y'all think? Y'all think, yeah, let's see
The
what y'all,
first one?
the first one, this top option, that's what I'm
Mhm.
thinking as well, this code range, right? Treatment for active acne and permanent hair removal. So, and we're looking for treatment of acne. So I'm going to pick this one, and let's see. There's a little plus sign that opens it up a little. See how it indents down and gives you 2 more options? Chemical exfoliation for acne, example, acne paste or acid. And then the second one is cryotherapy, CO2/liquid nitrogen, geez, for acne. That's a harsh acne
First,
treatment, I
the
feel.
first one.
The first one, chemical exfoliation, I would think the same thing because we're talking about chemical peel of the face epidermis, that top layer, right? So let's click on that, 17360. And this is where you've gone from the alphabetic part to the chapter part, is when you see this. You see all the codes in a line. Each of them has all these different symbols and things to explain how to code, what to use, different stuff. Print code detail summary, add to notepad. Like if you're working on something at your job and you need to put notes as to why you coded something this way, you could use this. Add to notepad, copy and paste it into your notes directly from what would be your CPT manual to back up. Because sometimes the insurance company will make you prove it. All right, they'll say submit your evidence, and you have to submit an appeal or something like that, and you have to provide evidence in black and white of why you coded something the way you did. So this is where you could get some of that information. All right, and then there's all kind of reference, like when you're looking in the paper copy, all of the symbols and stuff at the very bottom of the page, there's like an index that shows you each symbol and what they mean. This is this reference section right here. Okay, you can hover over them and they tell you what they mean. Complete code history, lay descriptions, modifiers that might be applicable, cross codes, Medicare physician fee schedules, images, all kind of different resources for you to use there, right? So right now we're just looking for this one particular code. Chemical peel of the face epidermis. All right, so the top one, cryotherapy, we already said we weren't going there. Chemical exfoliation, electrolysis, epilation, no. Unlisted procedure skin, no, it's listed. We're doing a chemical peel. So which of these options is going to be our best one? Which one are we going to run with?
The second one.
Right, the 17360. That's what we're going to run with because it's the one that most closely matches our scenario that we have listed here. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Hold on, y'all.
Yeah.
I need to move this so I can look at y'all in the face. I've got 2 screens, so sometimes I have to move things over. But does that make sense to everybody how the alphabetic index is represented on the online system and how the tabular index is represented and how it's different? Does it make
Yes.
sense? Okay.
Yes.
Any questions about anything we've done so far about how I got where I did or why I chose a certain option? Any questions at all? No? All right, let's do a couple more and then that's going to be it for today. We're not going to go into overtime today. We're going to try to keep it at a decent length. All right, so the number 2 example on there was carpal tunnel decompression of the median nerve. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go back up here and let's see, carpal tunnel decompression median nerve. Where would y'all think we would start with that?
Carpal tunnel.
You can start with carpal tunnel. You could also start with decompression as a general term. And then it would bring up different types of decompression that you could do in different types of the body. That would be the indent down there. Or you could start with carpal tunnel and it might tell you see also something else. So let's see what it looks like. Let's start with that. Carpal tunnel. All right, so it's given us a lot of different code ranges. And look, the top one, decompression and or transposition of nerve. So I'm gonna bet that if we click that plus sign, it's gonna start listing the different nerves that you could use this on, right? And I'm quickly just gonna look, I wanna look at all the other options it gave me just to make sure that nothing fits better than that. I mean, I don't think anything is, but we need to do our due diligence and just check, right? So therapeutic injections, no. Arthroscopic, no. Repair, no. Anesthesia, no. Incision of a tendon, no. Nothing to do with what we're talking about. Evaluation of surgical specimen, no. So none of that fits. So we're definitely going to be in this top category. We're going to click on that. Let's see. Neuroplasty and or transposition median nerve at carpal tunnel. Let's read the second one just to be sure. Neuroplasty and or transposition ulnar nerve at wrist. Okay.
That's the first one.
It's the top one. That's absolutely right. The 64721. Right. And y'all see how that one fit what our scenario so much better than the other one. And y'all see how they broke it down. You know, what the main category is decompression or transposition of nerve, and then it broke it down into which nerves. So that's, again, getting as specific as possible and why we never stick with the alphabetic index. And it looks like in the paper copy, they give you one code a lot more. It seems like the digital copy gives you a lot more ranges than what the paper copy does. So you kind of have to verify. You have to. So let's click on that one, the 64721, because we're pretty certain that that's what we need to do, but we still need to verify. So 64721, neuroplasty intertransposition median nerve, excludes, see they have an excludes note here, endoscopic procedure, 29848. So what that means is you would not use those two codes together. You would not code both of those at the same time. And you could click on the 29848 and read about it and see why probably. But you can, a lot of the time, you can just run with their little notes. All right. And then decompression, unspecified nerves. We know which one it is. Plantar digital, nope, that's not our nerve. Internal neurolysis requiring use of operating microscope. No. So it's definitely going to be that one we thought it was, right? So that would be our answer to that question, our CPT code that we would use. All right. So let's do one more just to wrap it up. And let's see, the third one was a test. It was a breath test for suspected alcohol use. So basically somebody got in trouble, they were under the influence, and now they're being issued a breath test, either probably at the emergency room. So let's see, CPT code. I would, if you can recognize what the test name is in the scenario, go with that, run with it. That's a clear indicator. So we're going to look for breath test, and it gives us our ranges. Nuclear radiology of the digestive system, no. Chemistry, glucose, no. Breath analysis, that's probably going to be our one, but let's just check and make sure. Chemistry, alcohol, probably not. Chemistry, nucleotidase, something, probably not. Respiratory services, no. Ultrasound, no. Stress test, no. And something very unspecified way down there, probably not. So I'm going to pick breath analysis.
Breath analyze.
Exactly. Breath analysis. A lot of times, guys, it's really to the point. It's to the point. Sometimes they'll give you a scenario that's a paragraph long, telling you all about the patient and what they went through and all their symptoms and all this stuff. And you just got to pick out that one test. You just got to find that. They try to trick you with a whole bunch of information that you don't even need. So try to look past all the extra stuff and narrow it down. All right, so we click on that, and it really only gives us one option under there. Breath hydrogen or methane test for detection lactase deficiency, fructose intolerance, bacterial growth, or orocecal gastrointestinal transit. I don't even know what that means. Let's click on it and see if we can figure out if that's what we need. 91065, breath, hydrogen, or methane test. It's kind of the only option, but I don't feel like that's right. I don't feel like that's right. Breath, hydrogen, or methane test.
Did you put breath test alcohol?
I did not. Let's try that. Let's see if that brings up something different. Excellent suggestion. All right, that's bringing me to the chemistry, alcohol, and mash, which I said it probably wasn't. So, see? Learn something new every day. Then there we go. Alcohol, ethanol, breath. Alcohol, any specimen except urine and breath. So, excellent. You got us to where we needed to be. And see, we just had to add another word to it. So we're obviously going to click on the 82075 because that's alcohol breath test, apparently. Click on it to verify alkyl ethanol breath. And y'all will also start to notice, you see how this code's 82075? When you have your when you have the paper manual, you'll figure out that the different chapters, like the first chapter or some of the early coding, like it's alpha, it goes in order. Your codes are going to start with like 00001 or, you know, something along there. And your second chapter is going to be like 10001. That's where it's going to start. And your second's 20. You see what I'm saying? The code sets in the chapters follow numerically. Okay. So this, an 8000 code, I'm pretty sure that is in the laboratory testing section. It's closer to the back of the manual. Okay. But that's why I didn't think that other code looked right, because I thought the test should be an 8000 code. So there we go. 82075, alcohol, breath, any specimen except urine and breath. So we are breath. So that's definitely not going to be that. And then the codes down here go into something else completely. So 82075 would definitely be our code. And it'll be the same way, guys, if you're doing ICD-10 coding. You would just come up here, and instead of CPT, you're going to click on ICD-10-CM, okay? And then type the diagnosis, illness, whatever it is that you're looking for. But that's the only difference between CPT and ICD-10. With CPT, you're looking for those procedures. ICD-10, diagnosis. ICD, CPT. See how you can kind of remember that? That's how I had to figure it out, memorize it at first. All right, so did that help anybody?
Yes, it did.
I
It
wasn't
helped
here,
me for sure.
but it did help me at the end. Like I got some of it, but not here for the full video. I had left for a little while.
That's okay. I recorded it and I'll have it posted tonight. So that's okay. You can go back and reference. Excellent. If I helped clarify anything for anybody, then great. That was the goal. Because I know I've had a few of y'all that started in the past couple of weeks, and this is very new for you. And doing things online is very new for some of y'all. So I wanted to kind of try to tie things together for you. And y'all are starting. I feel really bad for my students that start in the middle of coding. Honestly, the instructors have been trying to get them to change the program to where we don't have students start in the middle of coding, because it's a hard topic to just jump into and then catch up with the class and hit the ground running with it, right? You're already trying to get used to so many things that are new and that you're not used to. And then we throw something at you that looks like complete Greek. You know, are you seeing these big medical terms and you don't even know where to begin? So it can be really overwhelming. So what the goal for today was to kind of dissipate some of that overwhelm and get y'all a little more comfortable with finding these codes. few quick announcements before we let go. Well, first of all, before I do that, any questions about anything we went over today? Any clarification y'all need on anything? And as always, if you either, one, don't feel comfortable speaking up in front of everybody, or you think of something later, you can always text me. Okay? But any questions while we're here for?
So are we going back to the big yellow book?
We're still in CPT and we're staying there for a little bit. But we're going to be staying there for at least a couple more modules. And then those of you, like, I think we're at the point with the new curriculum. I'm not really sure how it's lined out yet. I haven't looked like 3 or 4 modules ahead to see where we're doing, if ICD-10 is going to follow CPT in this curriculum, or if it's something we're going to be doing beforehand and we're going to wrap back around to it. I'm not sure how all that is laid out, but I do know that we are going to be continuing with CPT coding for the next little bit, for at least the next 2 modules, for sure.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get confused.
Yeah. What you got, Michelle?
I had run into an issue logging into my One Healthcare ID,
Okay.
and they had me call them,
Okay.
which was kind of a thing. But I just wanted to tell the class that if anybody else was running into issues with it, they told me to open it into incognito mode. Specifically on Google Chrome, for some reason, it gets messed up in the cookies. Open it incognito, use your login information, and I've had no issues since I've done that.
Awesome. Good. Thank you for sharing that with everybody, because not everybody uses the same computer or is comfortable using the same browser, and some software, some websites work better with some than others. So that's excellent information to know, and I'll share that with the other instructors too, so they can let their students know. Thank you, Michelle. That's awesome. Wonderful. All right. Anybody else before we close it up for the day? No? All right, then we'll do some quick announcements real quick. Of course, tomorrow is Good Friday, so we will not have class, no assignments due tomorrow. As y'all know, today was the last day of the current module, so when we come back on Monday, we will be starting in our new module. And y'all remember where to go to find your new modules? You go to that My Courses page, right, up at the top, and then hopefully after you click on it the first time, it pops up on the dashboard for you. I will be opening that module this afternoon. I have not opened any of it yet, because y'all know I normally do stuff on Fridays. But since we're off tomorrow, and I'm going to try my darndest to take a day off. My husband's going to be home, and we're all off and home tomorrow, so we're going to try to, take advantage of that. So I'm going to do it today. That'll be open tonight. And I think that's it, y'all. There was just Good Friday and then new module. If for some reason you are currently behind on the module that's closing today and you need more time, you must get with me, guys. I will be I'm going to work probably Sunday and Monday on finalizing grades for this module. So I can give you a couple more days if you need it, if you got something going on, but you got to get in touch with me and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be marking zeros for those assignments if I don't hear nothing from you. Okay, I'm just going to assume you're wanting to skip those for whatever reason. And I'm looking at this group of y'all that are on there. I think all of y'all are mostly already done with this module. I looked at grades this morning and kind of saw who was doing what, and majority of you guys already have it all completed. So doesn't really apply to y'all too much. But there you go. And then,
Sorry to cut you off. The last module, are grades finalized yet?
for the last one, oh yeah, they've been finalized for a little bit. Are they not showing up?
No, ma'am. Mine aren't.
Okay, I'm gonna get with the
Mine's
registrar. Yours isn't either, Layla?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank y'all for letting me know that, because I'll get with the registrar and see. Now it's 4:49 on. So she ain't even gonna get my message till Monday. But I will get with her, Nick. I'll send her an email today. She'll get it Monday morning, and we'll see, because there's a process. When I turn in grades, she has to put those grades in and then close out that module. and then all the grades are, you can see them then after that. So maybe she missed closing those out. We'll see what's going on. We'll get that fixed for y'all. But yeah, those grades are finalized.
Thank you.
No problem. I have to, after the module ends, I have a certain amount of days where I have to turn in grades. I have a deadline, and it could cost me my job if I don't turn them in by that time. So within days after the module closes, I usually have grades finalized and done. And if y'all ever go back and have questions about your grades, you're unsure, I make mistakes, y'all. I am a human being and I make mistakes. So if you're checking over your stuff and something doesn't look right, by all means come to me, and if I make a mistake, I will fix it. I will go to bat for you, and I own my mistake. I've done it. I've unfortunately done it before. Only once, and the student didn't realize that I had made a mistake until he graduated the program. He had taken his certification exam, and he had gotten an official copy of his transcript, and he looked on his transcript and he's like, I don't think this is correct. And I went back and checked, and it wasn't correct. I had made a mistake. So I went to administration, hey, I messed this up. This is not fair to the student. He was a straight A student. He should get his 4.0. Let's give it to him, and I took the hit. Now, fortunately, because I do my darndest to not make mistakes like that, I didn't get in a ton of trouble, thankfully, or lose my job. But don't be afraid to come to me if something doesn't look right. I want y'all to have your grades accurate at all times. So definitely get with me if something doesn't look right, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. If that is it, y'all have a blessed Easter. Enjoy the 3-day weekend. I'm here if you need me. And aside from that, just be safe and happy and blessed.
Yeah.
Miss Brandy, there was a question in the chat feed.
Oh, let's check that out right quick before we hop off. When is the Chapter 13 test due? Today. It's due today, Andrea. Yep, I think I left it open till like tomorrow night or something like that, but the due date is today. All right, guys, if there's nothing else, again, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.
All right.